everyone, super excited for this live session today on the future of SD-WAN, integrating SASE, AIOps, and work from home needs. Excited to welcome VMware here today and their staff solution engineer, Gary Jenkins, and of course, Rob Ford and David Turner with Meriplex. Rob, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, thank you, Macy, and thanks to everybody for joining today. So just a brief agenda here, and then we'll get into the content. We're going to go through an introduction of SD-WAN by VMware VeloCloud and talk a little bit about what's in the solution and the capabilities of it. We're going to talk about the VMware VeloCloud SD-WAN Edge portfolio and get into some of the details on that. Also around AIOps and SD-WAN architecture, in depth on that, a little bit more information on that piece. Then we're going to talk about the new VMware SASE platform, and we're super excited to talk to you guys about that. And then also we'll talk about the work from home with VMware VeloCloud SD-WAN and some of the use cases for that. And then we'll close out with a why Meriplex information. So from an SD-WAN perspective, the VMware VeloCloud architecture offers a very robust and transformational wide area network experience, right? And so the way it does that is from several different areas. When you think about capabilities, and when you think about application performance, when you think about the need to remediate against issues with underlying circuits, and also providing connectivity into the cloud, right? Many organizations now are moving to the cloud, and they need those on-ramp services to help them connect in the cloud. And we're going to talk a little bit about that on the next few slides. But from an SD-WAN capability standpoint, VMware VeloCloud SD-WAN really offers a lot of technology capabilities when it comes to optimizing application performance, and that can be specifically around voice over IP applications or any other specific data or custom applications that organizations are might be running, or also SaaS applications, right? Like Office 365, for example. Many organizations are leveraging SaaS applications now, and they need that on-ramp and express ramp to the cloud to be able to connect from their branches and from their critical sites to their cloud applications, right? You can also, with VMware VeloCloud SD-WAN, you can also leverage your existing connectivity, right? So many organizations have investment, or maybe they have contracts for direct fiber circuits, or maybe even broadband connectivity. And so you can, with the VMware VeloCloud solution, you can leverage your existing connectivity to connect that into the VeloCloud edge devices and create an SD-WAN overlay network on top of your existing connectivity.
And that's whether that's internet circuits or MPLS circuits as well. So we can run it over private transport circuits as well. So
absolutely. Also, as a part of that, to David's point, right? When you're terminating direct internet fiber circuits or broadband circuits or even MPLS, to David's point, on the VeloCloud edges, you can still encounter issues with the last mile connectivity or even upstream on the provider's data network. So the VMware VeloCloud solution really boasts a wide set of techniques to help heal the traffic as it moves across the circuits or that connectivity, right? And one of the ways it can do that, which is for real-time traffic like voice and video traffic, it can do services like forward error correction. It can also do things like jitter buffering and those types of things to help heal traffic as it traverses your wide area network. Also, from a network visibility standpoint, the VMware VeloCloud solution from the VMware VeloCloud Orchestrator, which we'll talk a little bit more about, gives you a single pane of glass for management, analytics, and reporting to really help you manage and understand the traffic that's traversing your wide area network.
As far as the architecture goes for the VMware VeloCloud SD-WAN solution, is we have an orchestrator that's typically hosted in the VeloCloud cloud environment or the service provider cloud environment. That's typical. Typically, all SD-WAN vendors will have some type of orchestrator. That's where we'll be able to see all of our network visibility. We'll be able to see what type of traffic's going from site to site, what tunnels are built. We also have, as part of the architecture, we have edges that are at the branch locations and the data center locations as well. So those can either be physical edges or virtual edges. They can have, like Robert said, they can have different types of transport, whether we're writing an MPLS network, whether we're writing a combination of an MPLS network and the internet. A lot of times we'll utilize LTE as transport as well. One of the things that makes VMware's solution unique and really puts them ahead of the game when it comes to the SD-WAN environment is the cloud gateways. So a lot of the other, or all the other vendors are going to have edges at every site, and they can build tunnels to each other and do some type of link steering between the locations. But VeloCloud actually extends that to the cloud. So we actually have gateways that are hosted in the same facilities as where your typical SaaS applications are hosted, whether it's Office 365, whether it's Box, and whatnot. And we're able to provide the assured application performance from your remote locations all the way to these SaaS applications. So that's a really unique differentiator for VeloCloud. With the orchestrator, we're also able to have simplified WANs management. So it's a single pane of glass to manage our WAN. We can see all the network visibility. We can do zero-touch deployments, and I know that Gary's going to talk shortly about working from home. And one of the challenges with working from home is if you're going to have to deploy equipment on site, in a historical environment where you'd have to configure a router, go send someone to install it at somebody's house, especially with COVID, that's not desirable at these times. We can actually have an edge that's just shipped to the customer, shipped to the end user's location, plugged into the network, and then it's automatically configured from the orchestrator. So it's this true zero-touch deployment.
Yeah, David, and also on that point, a lot of organizations are trying to figure out still, right, how to optimize their work from home strategy, right? How do they get employees who are remote or who are mobile employees connected into the network? And so VMware VeloCloud really offers a broad set of capabilities, which, to David's point, Gary's going to talk a little bit more about, to help connect those remote employees. Another thing too is around the SD-WAN overlay, right? So as we can see between the edges on the left and the cloud gateways on the right, you really have this really highly available network and the ability to remediate issues on the transport that could happen between your branches and let's say your cloud applications. And so you're getting that self-healing capabilities between your points to ensure that traffic traversing the VeloCloud gateways, those cloud gateways, is intact as it gets handed off to the SaaS application.
Yeah, and Robert, we did get one question. Are you able to use the SD-WAN solution in conjunction with MPLS circuits that we still have contracts on? And the answer to that is yes. That is a really typical transition that we're seeing a lot of customers that have legacy MPLS contracts, but they want to maybe add some redundancy and get some benefit of some lower cost broadband circuits. We certainly have many customers that will leverage MPLS circuit on one side and then at the same location and maybe add broadband, and we can direct how we want to send that traffic. I've actually seen customers that'll have two MPLS circuits at each location with two different providers, and we can run overlays over there as well. So
yeah, and on that scenario, when it's multiple providers going into the same VeloCloud edge, it can load balance across there, and it does it per packet. And so it's not per flow where maybe you already have a flow set up and it's not going to swing it over when there's an error going on. It'll do it per packet. So as that traffic's going across there, it'll make sure that it's taking the best path, making that decision on each packet.
Yeah, and that really allows us to get active out of the circuit. So historically, you'd see a lot of circuits where you'd have a primary, then a redundant. The redundant's in the old days, the redundant's just sitting there waiting for an outage and waiting to take over. In this solution, we're actually getting value out of the circuits because we're using them in an active fashion. So we're getting value out of the circuits all the time. So
Excellent. Thanks, Rob. So on this slide, it's just basically showing our hardware. We've been releasing new hardware recently, and so you'll see over there on the left, we have how many megabytes per second each box can handle. So we have something that's real small that'll go into a house or to a small remote office. You'll see there's a regular version and an LTE version. These all also have Wi-Fi on them. So we use that a lot for that zero-touch provisioning, where what happens is the user that's going to install it gets an email saying, connect to the Wi-Fi, put this code in, and then it registers with the orchestrator. So that's how that zero-touch happens. Or maybe you're in a house and that's you want to use that as your primary connection for your work environment. And then it goes all the way over to the right side there, where we have our multiple 10 gig boxes, as you scale to a larger office.
And these are licensed too by bandwidth, correct, Gary? So if we get let's say we get the 610 edge, which can do up to 500 meg, but we only have a need for a 50 meg, they're licensed by throughput, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So on this slide, what I wanted to talk about, this is a typical SD-WAN slide that you see. You see that there's the locations over there on the left, and then those points of presence, those POCs over there on the right, those gateways in the cloud, like David talked about. So what we do is we book in that traffic, where we have the traffic is going from one edge to another edge, whether that second edge is in your data center or in a POP out on the internet. And what that gives us the ability to do is manage the traffic in between there. So everything looks like it's one hop away, even though you're going across the internet. And typically those POPs, they're located in your city. So instead of going, all the way back to your corporate site, for instance, this will get on the high-speed backbone of the internet somewhere close into your city. And so the reason why it says AIOps at the beginning of this, at the top of this slide, it's because what I wanted to talk about is what we're adding. So earlier in the year, VMware bought a company named Niansa, and we're launching a new product with that called Edge Network Intelligence, or ENI. So this ENI gives you the analytics visibility all the way down to those client devices at your remote sites or in your home or even in your campus environments. And so that's the additional information that we're adding to this. So think of it this way. As you add this intelligence, we can also tie in other feeds. So we can tie in wide area network, the wireless LAN, including the wide area network and the local LAN. If there's an issue going on, you'd be able to look into the orchestrator and see, was this problem on the local wireless, on the local LAN, or across the WAN? And as the solution moves on, some of the roadmap items are to add all of the gateways to this also. So is that problem in between your local edge and also the gateway? Right now, the solution is including the hubs. So if it's in between your edge and the data center, then we'd be able to show that as well. The remote users on there, go back 1 second, I'm sorry. The remote users on there, because we also have a software shim, software client that you can put on those remote users to give you the extra visibility to your local LAN. And it looks like we have a couple of questions on the IOP. Can the traffic be tunneled, prioritized, such that video traffic like Teams gets the path with the least latency and jitter? Yeah, absolutely. And we do this with all applications, whether they're business critical, like a video conference, for instance, or any other one. And then what you can do is you can make priorities. So maybe you have what you think is your better link. You can say, hey, I want my more important traffic to go over this link. And then it'll also go over the other ones when it's available. But it'll keep that non-priority traffic off of that particular link. And so those policies are available.
Right. And built in by default, there are business policies that address the collaboration and voice features, and actually pretty much all the applications that come built in as default with the solution. We can certainly customize those further from there and create our own business policies.
That's a good point, David. When I got my edge at my house, I was like, okay, so now what do I need to go in and prioritize? And so I went in and I started looking at it, and I noticed, oh, everything's already set up for me for all the things that I really care about. When I talked about the Nianza side or the ENI, the advantages of that particular thing, and I'm answering this question that I see, is that what we have the visibility now to is to see all the way at the edge. So those devices that are connecting at the remote office, I can see all of this traffic. I can give you an inventory of things like how many IoT devices you have out there. The other things that we can do there is we add benchmarking. So what benchmarking basically is we'd show you a graph with the ability to see your best performing site and your worst performing site. And this is on a per application basis. So if you do care about something like Teams, or we have an API integration with Zoom, what you can do is you can look at all of your sites and see which one is performing best, which one's performing the worst. And that way you can spend your time working on that worst performing one and not worry about the best performing one. The other things that we give you in addition to that is a network history. And this is application based also. And when I say application, I'm not talking about just a particular application, but also network services. So DNS and DHCP and Radius. So I can see how those are performing per site. The history part, it's a 2-year view. So I can see how things are working for 2 years per site or overall. And then if you change something on the network, maybe you're adding a new WAN interface or changing what provider you're going to, you can see that annotated on that slide or on that graph, and then know how the performance was before, and then see how the performance is after. The last two things that we do there are the incidents. So we do a machine learn of what the performance of these applications, the clients that are connected, how your Wi-Fi is working. And then if anything goes wrong there, comes outside of that normal, then we would notify you. And you can send that via Slack or ServiceNow or text message, any of those types of things in order to get notified. And I know I said 2 things, but really that last one I already mentioned was inventory. We can give you the inventory of all the devices at that site. Go ahead, Rob. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, we recently announced this at VMworld, where we're talking about SASE. So what we're doing there, it's so we talked about these points of presence, right? These POPs that we have our VeloCloud gateways in, which is the bottom left square there. With that, what we're doing is we already have that exists. So there's hundreds of these across the world. So they're in all your local cities in order to have that on-ramp to the internet. But if you think about this, your clients are sending, it used to be that your clients you're sending all that traffic to your data center, right? Well, now they're sending a lot of this traffic right to the internet instead. So we are adding features to this POP in order to help you secure it and to get you on to those on-ramps. The bottom right, you'll see that we're showing a cloud firewall. That one's a future. We'll have that in the next 2 quarters where we're going to be adding a firewall functionality there. The top right is that cloud web security. With that, and that exists today, we'll be doing things like, or we can do things like URL filtering, anti-malware, content access security broker, data loss prevention, and then remote browser isolation to give you that security there in your cloud. So as that traffic is going to your SaaS applications.
And that cloud web security, Gary, is that an extra license now, or is that an extra, I mean, this is all built in the cloud, so we don't have to implement anything at that point, right?
That is correct. We will manage this, but it is licensed, yes.
Okay.
And then that top left one, this is our secure access. So this goes along with our Workspace ONE client app, so VPN. If you think about how things used to be, it's you would take your VPN, you would VPN back to your data center, and then if you wanted to go somewhere else, all your traffic would be hairpinned to your data center first. So instead, what we're doing here is we can terminate this straight at the POP, in your local city, like I said, and so it'll be on the internet backbone, and then from there it could hop right on to your SD-WAN VPN that already exists. So now you're straight on that on-ramp, and then you can do all the security straight from there.
And I noticed it does SSL decryption here as well at this layer.
It does, yeah. And so that we could be tracking, really dig into all those applications. So I see somebody's asking when SASE is available, and it's available now. I know the E&I part is available in 4.1, which is coming out October 15th.
Yeah, and another point on the SASE on secure access is that's from a SASE platform perspective, secure access is definitely a unique feature in the SASE world, right? Because most SASEs are available only focus on outbound traffic inspection. And to Gary's point, most of them focus on exclusively on SSL encryption, decryption, web content filtering, and those types of things, DLP and those types of things. But none of them really provide a lot of services around inbound access, specifically around VPN access for remote users.
Yeah,
so that's a really key feature.
And that cloud firewall is going to function that way too. So what we'll be able to do, it's whether you're talking about firewalling traffic in between branches, or it may be application or IP based, or if this is inbound traffic coming into your network, we'll be able to do that either way there in the POP. One thing I wanted to mention is we talked about this work from home a lot. And so say you have one of these edges at your house. Well, how do you know that this traffic should be going back to your corporate site? Well, we have authentication methods in .1x, MAC address bypass, the radius, different types of radius that can run on these, whether they're wired or wireless. This is a new feature for us. We were able to do it on wireless before, but some of our access ports had some limitations. And now with the newest code, we're adding all of these features, even the MAC bypass. What MAC bypass gives you is if it fails .1x, then we check a MAC address back out your radius server, and then give you additional access based if you're a part of that list. But there's also one other thing. So I talked about a lot about analytics, right? So we're watching all of your traffic, we're giving you inventory on all of your devices. A lot of people aren't going to want that on their local area network at their house, right? I don't necessarily want you to know that I'm an Xbox user, for instance, versus a PlayStation. So with that, we also have the ability to turn on private segments in your houses, and so, or at your remote site even. It doesn't have to be a house. So with that, we can crank it down, turn on a private segment, and the private segment information is not going to be handled in our analytics. And so you won't see that in the orchestrator. We will still do all of the things with DMPO going across the WAN. So we'll add performance and forward error correction for these packets, but we're not going to be gathering analytics on them or adding them to the inventory, just to make sure that you're feeling safe with it.
And we can still prioritize the business traffic over that other traffic. So while you're playing your Xbox or PlayStation, I'm actually trying to work and get something done. My traffic will be prioritized. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, if your kids are uploading that TikTok video like we talked about before the call, you can definitely, prioritize the business traffic over that.
Perfect.
Hey, Rob, go to the next one. And so this just wraps up that client access, right? It's a picture of showing how, as you use that VPN, the Workspace ONE client that can now connect to the POP instead of back to your data center, how it can jump right on those runways those on-ramps in order to get to your backbone into your VPN traffic.
Yeah, so why Meriplex? So Meriplex as a strategic partner of VMware VeloCloud, and we've built a very robust managed services program around not only delivering VMware VeloCloud SD-WAN, but also managing it and really partnering with our customers to deliver the best SD-WAN experience we possibly can, right? So just a couple of points I wanted to touch on around our practice, our SD-WAN practice, is that it is co-managed. And so Meriplex customers do have full access to the VMware VeloCloud Orchestrator, which David talked a little bit about. That's your single pane of glass for management, analytics, and business policy management. So that is a co-managed approach that we take to that. So you would have full administrative access. We also manage your carriers, right? So we talked about at the top of the meeting where you can use your existing connectivity to connect those to your VMware VeloCloud SD-WAN network, or Meriplex will manage your carriers if you buy our circuits, because we're also a carrier, or if you use your existing connectivity, we'll manage the carrier for you. So that means opening a ticket with the carrier on your behalf, triaging any issues, and updating a service ticket with frequent updates. So we handle all that for you. We also handle manufacturer RMA support for you, as well as minor software patches and major software updates. So we actually, because of our partner status with VMware VeloCloud, we actually stock the SD-WAN gateways in our warehouse. And so when you have a failure, we can actually pull from our own inventory and send it out to the site that's affected very quickly. And to Gary's point around zero-touch deployment, it's very easy once you receive that replacement edge to get it on the network and get it up and running very quickly. The other thing we do offer is 24/7 by 365 network support. So we do proactively monitor the VMware VeloCloud SD-WAN network, and so our network operations center does run 24/7. They handle all incident management and service requests for your VMware VeloCloud SD-WAN network.
Yeah, the other part too here, Robert, is we can actually package some of our other services. So we're able to, with our partner gateways that we have, we can leverage our voice services, whether we provide SIP to the end customer or direct routing into Teams. So we can leverage our existing partner gateways to offer those services as well.
No, and that's a good point, David. And another thing I'll mention too is that just like VMware VeloCloud is, they deploy these edges all around the world. So Meriplex actually does as well, right? From a partner standpoint. So we have deployed thousands and thousands of VMware VeloCloud edges and done many deployments, complex deployments, and also just standard medium complexity deployments, as well as bringing in people that are working from home or remote workers into the SD-WAN network and connecting them in various different ways, right? So our approach is to understand our customers' requirements and then bag that into the best VMware VeloCloud architecture and design that's going to give them the best outcome and the best the transformation that they're looking for their wide area network.
Hey, Robert, we did get one question that popped up. It says, does Meriplex provide DIA circuits along with VMware SD-WAN solution?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So Meriplex is a carrier, so we can provide DIA circuits. So and DIA, if you don't know, is short for direct internet access. So we can provide those types of connectivity, which are normally based on fiber media or connectivity types. We can also provide broadband circuits as well as, so that'd be cable broadband, DSL. We can also provide LTE circuits as well as satellite and fixed wireless. So depending on the requirements for a particular location you might have, we can give you various different types of transport or connectivity options to best fit that location. And we can also obviously provide different types of connectivity. If you want multiple circuits or even terrestrial circuits, we can also provide different types of connectivity to give you the maximum uptime and full redundancy for that site.
Right, as well as leverage your existing circuits as well. So if you already
Absolutely.
have your circuits in place, we can certainly work and leverage your existing circuits.
No, absolutely. And so that wraps up our content here, guys. And I want to thank everybody again for taking a few minutes out of the day to join us. And I'd like to thank Gary and David for joining us on the call today. And so, no, yeah, thank you very much. And so we'd like to just leave you guys with this, just some high-level contact information. So to get a hold of Meriplex, you can email us at connect@meriplex.com, or you can visit our website at www.meriplex.com. And we have a lot of good information on there around VMware VeloCloud SD-WAN and a lot of the additional services that we provide. And to David's point, that we can inject into your VMware VeloCloud SD-WAN network. And you can also go to www.velocloud.com to find more information around the SASE platform that VMware VeloCloud is publishing there, and around this secure access and some of the other stuff we talked about. And also feel free to connect with VMware on LinkedIn as well as VeloCloud. Meriplex is also on LinkedIn. You can connect to our page as well. So everybody, again, thanks for joining.
Yeah, one more thing, Rob. If we missed any questions, I know there were a lot of questions. I don't think we got to all of them, but if we did miss any questions, we will follow up and reach out to you guys. So thank you so much for joining.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.